Good morning, all. It's Gary Sly and the Legacy of Handmade Objects. It's Monday morning, February the 16th. It's President's Day, so a lot of folks are off and enjoying holidays today. Not sure if anybody noticed, but I wasn't here last week. For the first time in over 2 years, I did not get around to doing a Monday video or a video for the week. I guess I should just say that it just got a little much for me last week and I couldn't quite get there. Every once in a while it catches up with me that I'm getting a little bit older and that I'm actually running a business here, which has its challenges from time to time. And I have my own personal life and my own struggles that go along with that from time to time. And it was just kind of more than I could get to last Monday. And I don't like to break unbroken strands of things. I've not missed a week broadcasting in, as I say, over 2 years, but I just needed that break last week. It wasn't that I didn't have a lot to talk about. I always have a lot to talk about, so that wasn't the problem. It was just maybe too many things coming at me at the same time. I will mention that at the end of this session, I have a video that I took last week when I went to visit the state fair down near Tampa here in Florida. My quilt was on display and got recognized, and of course I was very excited to go down and see that. So you'll see my adventure walking into the pavilion area where my quilt was on display at the end of today's session. I guess one of the things I've been thinking about a lot that came to my mind, especially during this past week, was the value of community. I think I mentioned to you in a past video that I'm undertaking a project for the 250th anniversary of the nation where we put together a community quilt. It's just real important for me as I think about things on the national and international level to remind people and to remind myself that our local community is really what matters. It's all these little local communities that make up state government, national government, and all the rest. And long after all of the controversies of the current day, whatever they may be, are passed, you and I will still be living in a community with our neighbors and our friends and our families. And it's a good idea for us to do what we can to keep those ties strong, no matter what else is happening. And I'm particularly grateful this week and thinking a lot about the value of our fiber community, our stitching community. I hope for you that wherever you are, you have some kindred spirits that you can get together with. Now, of course, the lovely thing now is that we can even do that online. If we happen to be in an area that is so remote and so apart from other people, we could still connect. But I just don't think there's much that for me that's more valuable than the community ties that I have here. And I've said it before, I'm pretty much an introvert. So if I didn't have the shop and I didn't have the stitching community around, I'd be sitting up in a corner somewhere in my favorite chair stitching and never talk to anybody for days at a time. We have a Wednesday night group that's gotten real active here at the shop in the last few months with slow stitchers. And it's one group in particular that I'm just very grateful for. Very much a group of eclectic, kind of take charge of their lives and do what they want to do sort of folks who have just bonded and come together. And we were sitting here, we hit a place where nobody was talking, which is kind of unusual in a group like that, but we were all just quietly stitching and listening to the music that was playing here in the corner. And one of the women just kind of quietly said, "This is what it needs to be like." and it really was a wonderful moment when we all kind of acknowledged that we were comfortable and happy and nobody needed to be saying anything. We were just there. Now, one member of that group is going through a divorce, and so coming here is a good little respite for that person. Another maybe is a little, spends a little bit too much time with their spouse and maybe needs a break from time to time. So many folks who come and hang out in the sessions that I have here in the shop need community. I think about my Thursday group. There's a group of ladies that's been coming to my shop on Thursdays since things opened back up after COVID. So at least 5 years, maybe more than that. Pretty much every Thursday, that group is here. Now, you know, some of the membership has changed. We've lost a couple members to death, and we are always adapting and adopting new members who come in and be a part of the group. But that group has supported one another. You know, there's one of the newer members who recently lost her husband. There's another who's getting up pretty old and maybe doesn't move around quite as well as the others. And she comes in when she can. And there's just so much value to having that kind of consistency. And of course, anytime any of us runs into an issue with our stitching, we've got 8 experts sitting around the table, and somebody will have found the problem or dealt with the issue sometime in their own stitching career. So it's just a great kind of workshop for that. Sunday afternoons, I have knitters and crocheters here in the shop. I'm not that much of an expert on yarns and knitting and crocheting. I'm a pretty decent weaver, but I'm not that much. I can knit, crochet I won't even talk about. But that's a fun group because the woman that kind of facilitates that group had a yarn shop up in Syracuse, New York, a shop called Sheep Thrills. And so she sells a lot of her products here in the shop, but she runs that. If somebody comes in and they need instruction, she charges a minimal fee to give them some advice and help. But if you don't need that and you want to just come in and knit socks or scarves or whatever it is you want to do, that's a great place to be. And we found that Sunday afternoon group is a nice, comfortable place for people, maybe who don't have as much time during the week as others. So that's always fun. Friday, second Fridays of every month, I love having spinners here in the shop. Now, talk about a take charge, eclectic kind of group. Spinners and weavers, I think both, are the type of folks that just kind of figure out what they need to do and find a place to do it. But I think I had 8 spinners out on the back deck this past Friday. They come in with their carts and their spinning wheels, and sometimes they'll be doing something else. We had a woman braiding rugs this week. But I always look forward to them being here and kind of watching what they're doing. I'm not a spinner. That's not one of those projects that I'm looking forward to doing anything about. But it's fascinating to watch, and it's a real crowd pleaser when people are here and the spinners are on the premises. They love to go and watch and ask questions and kind of see what's happening. It would have been a very common thing 200 years ago or more to have seen spinners everywhere. Because if you think about it, in order to do things with yarn or thread, prior to mechanization, somebody had to spin all of that thread. And it took a whole bunch of spinners to create enough yarn for a weaver, for instance, to start weaving fabric. The word spinster comes from that idea that there was pretty much always somebody in a household who was busy spinning thread or yarn just about anywhere you look. I just always enjoy having them around. The final group that meets, well, no, I shouldn't say that. It's not the final group. There's another group that meets here fairly regularly that's been here for a long time as well, and that's a youth stitch. On Wednesday mornings, I have some homeschool students, again, who've been coming here for many years. I'd say on their part, maybe 4 or 5 years. Sorry about that. Took a little break there. The pest control guy was outside and I need to go talk to him. So I was just talking about my Wednesday morning group, which is a youth stitch. I have some homeschoolers and their mom who started coming here easily probably 4 years ago. Those boys have kind of grown up here in the shop. They're now 13 and 16, so they've been coming here since they were, I think 9 and 12 is when they started. We've had a variety of other homeschool students kind of come in and out. It's a good kind of extra resource for them. These two boys have learned to do just about everything they need to do to take care of themselves. They know how to hem a pair of pants, and they've done embroidery and crochet and all kinds of stuff along through the years. So it's been really cool to watch them sort of grow up learning some of these things. I hope we're not stereotyping fiber products so that only girls learn how to do them. It certainly would have been a great disappointment to me as a young man if I hadn't had some encouragement from folks who were able to show me how to do things. Donovan, the older of the two boys, actually works here in the shop. I've been his first employer for the last couple years. He comes in on Friday mornings and helps me do some of the things that I have trouble reaching and lifting. And I really kind of feel like those boys have grown up here in the shop. So many times when I think about what I love the most about having a business and having a shop, it relates to those groups. We have a new group that's just gotten started on Wednesday afternoons, which is for vintage sewing machines. It's a small group right now. There's just a couple folks who come in with their old sewing machines, but I'm amazed at the number of things they find to talk about. One of them might have seen some rare new sewing machine somewhere where they were traveling, and they start talking about that. Michelle, who's one of my assistants, actually collects vintage sewing machines. So she's always got some story about having ordered a foot or a part or whatever it is. You will notice you never really see me doing much with sewing machines. I tend to avoid anything that has electricity hooked up to it because it runs away with me, and I'm just not very good at that sort of thing. I like the slow, methodical approach that comes with hand stitching. So I don't do that. But I can't overstate how valuable I think community is when we think about these sort of things. I noticed a couple patterns of, right after I had a shop where people could come in and stitch, there are 3 or 4 women in the community whose husbands have had Parkinson's. And if you know much about that, it's a very debilitating, very difficult kind of situation to be in. And as caregivers for husbands with Parkinson's, they often did not have a lot of time to go places and do things. They'd scurry out and do some errands and come back, depending on the severity of the disease. But I did find, and have seen it as a pattern through the years, that some of those women, when they have a couple hours, come here because it gives them a chance to kind of be surrounded by things that they love and chat with somebody and just kind of reorient themselves with the community. They're not always the ones that are able to come and sit and stitch for 4 or 5 hours, but it's still a refuge for them when they have a chance to get out and move around. Not that they resent or dislike the fact that they're there with their husbands, but as you can imagine, caregivers for people with long-term illnesses and things like that really do suffer a whole lot, and they need support, they need access, and they need opportunities to go places and find out what's happening. So one of the greatest joys for me here has been to continue to build community and think about how valuable it is for us. And this community has stood with me in times when I've had some bad things going on, even more so than maybe some of my own family members. They have become a family that I've chosen, and a lot of times when the situations are such that maybe people I thought I could depend upon are not there for me. So I hope in whatever way it's possible for you to do that. If you're a fiber stitching kind of person, or actually love any of the handmade crafts that we try to think about in this episode or in this series, that you'll find some kindred spirits and be a part of a group and a community. And, you know, as I said at the beginning, communities can be international. We can be on a Zoom group that meets once a week with people from all over the world. And that counts. That's the same kind of connection. Especially when it's with people of kindred spirits. So I wish for you a good connection, a good community, a good way of being a part of that. And I just wanted to say personally how much I have valued that here in the Leesburg area and with friends that I know all over the world as well. So I appreciate you being out there. I'm sorry I missed a week. Always connect with me if you have any questions or comments. It's great to know that I have subscribers and that you're out there in the world. I look forward to being back and being a part of things on a regular basis moving forward. So have a great week. This is Gary Sly and the Legacy of Handmade Objects. Hey guys, this is Gary Sly. I'm at the Florida State Fair. And I'm about ready to walk into the Florida Center, which is the creative arts area of the fair. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I get right inside the door, you'll be able to see my quilt hanging up in the display area. So here we go. And of course, you know, it's the 250th anniversary. So you got the flag up there. And the very first display you come to is my 50 state quilt there hanging in this display area. I did get honorable mention, so I'm thrilled with that. And you can see that this whole display area is quite impressive. I am impressed that everything is behind glass, so if you were thinking about maybe in the future displaying at the state fair, I would encourage you to do that because it's really quite a nice array of things. And it's a lot of fun, so thanks for sharing with me.